Cherry. This movie tells the true story of Nico Walker, who returned from the Iraq War with an undiagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder that led him first to become addicted to drugs and then to rob banks. This crime and drama movie, based on the semi-autobiographical novel of the same name, has an interesting, realistic, and emotional story that keeps you engaged and entertained. The performances of the entire cast are very good. The scenography, especially the scenes in Iraq, and the special effects, like for example, the action scenes, explosions, etc., are both well accomplished. We really enjoyed the story and the movie itself, so we give it 4 stars out of 5. Emily and the Magical Journey. Emily and her mother live alone after Emily lost her father. She wants to help her mother find happiness and learn about the father she never met. When Emily finds a mysterious chest that transports her to a magical world, she meets fantastic, mythical creatures that become her new friends. After discovering that her new friends are in danger, she must face her worst fear to complete her journey. This fantasy movie has an original plot with a good message, but sadly, the performances of some of the cast, plus the scenography and special effects, are average at best. Overall, the film is kind of boring for adults, but young children will enjoy it, so we give it 2 stars out of 5. Mortal Kombat. Cole, the mixed martial arts fighter, accustomed to getting beat up for money, doesn't know his ancestry, and he also doesn't understand why Outworld's Emperor Shang Tsung has sent his best warrior, Sub-Zero, a supernatural cryomancer, to assassinate him. This fantasy film is a remake of the 1995 movie of the same name. The performances, scenography, special effects, costume design, and soundtrack of this version are all average, with some performances even being really bad. The story unfolds slowly, turning boring and with some ridiculous parts. The film starts very well, but as it progresses, it turns bad. We honestly prefer the original 1995 production, as even with bad special effects, it had better performances and the plot was much more entertaining and interesting, and don't forget the soundtrack with that awesome main theme song. So we give this remake 2 stars out of 5. Nomadland. A woman, after losing everything, embarks on a journey west, living like a nomad. After the economic collapse that also affected her city in rural Nevada, Fern takes her van and sets out to explore a life outside of conventional society as a modern nomad. This drama movie, recently awarded the Oscar for Best Picture, is interesting with good performances and scenography, but honestly, far from being spectacular, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. Silk Road. This film tells the story of Ross Ulbricht, creator of Silk Road, a darknet website dedicated to the sale and trafficking of narcotics. This crime, drama, and thriller movie based on true events is somewhat slow with okay performances, and honestly, we found it to be average, so we give it 2 stars out of 5. Stowaway. The crew of a spacecraft heading to Mars unexpectedly discover the presence of a stowaway that accidentally causes serious damage to the ship's life support systems. This science fiction and drama movie has an interesting and original plot, but is predictable. The special effects, scenography, and costume design are all good, but the movie is not that satisfying. It simply does not amaze you and has the same cliches of similar dramatic movies exploring self-sacrifice and the dangers encountered in space. Nevertheless, this film is entertaining enough to watch, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. The Courier. During the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, salesman Greville Wynn is recruited as a spy for the British intelligence service MI6. When the Cuban Missile Crisis promises to tip the scales in favor of the Soviets, Wynn will begin to work with the CIA to leak information about the Soviets' plan so as to prevent a catastrophe. This drama and thriller movie based on true events is interesting and keeps you engaged and in suspense from beginning to end with excellent performances of the entire cast. The scenography and costume design are both good. We give this realistic, entertaining film 4 stars out of 5. The Mauritanian. A man is held in Guantanamo prison where he remains held captive without charge for more than 10 years until he seeks the help of a defense attorney. This thriller and drama movie has an interesting and realistic plot full of dramatic emotional moments that lead you to ask yourself, what would you do if you were to ever find yourself in a similar situation? Both the performances and the scenography are good, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. The Virtuoso. A professional killer must locate and kill his last target to satisfy an outstanding debt. But the only information that has been given to him is the time and place to find his prey. 5 p.m. in a rustic restaurant in the city. This thriller, crime and drama movie has an original, interesting and ingenious plot that really entertains and keeps you engaged, together with good performances that complement an easy-to-follow story, so we give it 3 stars out of 5. Things Heard and Seen. A Manhattan couple moves to an historical village in the Hudson Valley and ends up discovering that their marriage hides a sinister secret that rivals the mysterious and tormenting history of their new home. This horror and mystery movie has an interesting plot, but it's not scary at all. It's more a supernatural thriller than a horror movie. Honestly, this film leaves much to be desired, and there are parts that are weak and spoil the story. The performances and some of the special effects are decent, but we strongly believe they could have made a much better movie, so we give it 2 stars out of 5. Vanquish. Victoria, mother to a young girl, is trying to leave behind her dark past as a Russian drug mule, but a corrupt retired policeman, Damon, forces her to work for him while holding her daughter hostage. This crime, action and drama movie sounds interesting, but the performances, scenography and special effects like explosions, etc. are all mediocre. The story turns boring and predictable from the very beginning. It's sad to watch Morgan Freeman in productions like this one, which are basically B-rated movies. So we give it 1 star out of 5. Voyagers. The film chronicles the odyssey of 30 young men and women who are sent into remote space on a multi-generational spaceship with the purpose of finding a new home for the human race. Gradually, the crew begins to regress to the most primitive state of human behavior, making them the real threat to the mission. This science fiction and drama movie has an interesting and entertaining plot, but sadly is quite predictable. The performances, scenography and special effects are all decent, making this film enjoyable enough to watch, so we give it 3 stars out of 5.